Are you sure?
Here's the 30-second lesson on what legends know. Never ask a bride why she's getting married. Don't wear a skirt on a windy day. Deodorant is not a shower. Don't sniff chili flakes. And don't forget, saving is not investing. Legends don't just save, they invest in mutual funds. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
If you promise not to Google for the answer, I will ask you a question upfront. So please tell me, which is the name other than Peace Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus that you've heard in the context of the power shift in Bangladesh? Yunus, by the way, was lionized this week on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly by top Western liberal leaders from the US to the EU. You've seen pictures of him with Biden and Bill Clinton as well. Now, the second question comes. Why is it that among both our large subcontinental neighbors, democracy has been so fragile, it comes and goes? The instinctive answer would be Islam, that Islam and democracy can't go together. Tempting though it would be for many, given the mood today, given the overwhelming majority mood today, it doesn't pass the simplest fact check. Look far enough east and this stereotype fails in Indonesia, with the world's largest Muslim population. Halfway there, just like Indonesia, Malaysia also has peaceful electoral transitions, even if in Malaysia these elect sometimes a Mahathir Mohamad, or go west to Turkey. Recep Tayyip Erdogan is no liberal democrat. If anything, he might be Mahathir plus. But he also has to face elections, and we never said democracies are perfect. Democracies sometimes elect very difficult leaders. Indonesia and Turkey are just about as Islamic in terms of their population mix as Pakistan or Bangladesh. Just about, thereabouts. One more, one a bit less. This demolishes the idea that Pakistan and Bangladesh keep floundering because Islam is incompatible with democracy. That's a myth. I can take you now to another country next door, Myanmar. There is no Islam there. If anything, they've persecuted and expelled most of their Muslims, the Rohingya. It is an almost entirely Buddhist country. Christians, such as they are actually fighting with the military junta there right now. Those are the tribals in North Burma. Dictators have mostly been in charge of the country, and army juntas keep moving in and out as they wish, as they did in February 2021, imprisoning the somewhat democratic Aung San Suu Kyi, a Peace Nobel laureate too, like Yunus. You can't blame Islam for Myanmar's stolen democracy. What would you blame it on then? Buddhism? We can demolish this too. Just keeping our gaze within our neighborhood, Sri Lanka is predominantly a Buddhist country. Its clergy is often violent, racist, and rarely a force for liberalism or peaceful coexistence. We in the subcontinent forget what happened in Sri Lanka during the original terrorist avatar of the JVP, or Janata Vimukti Perumana, the party whose leader has now been elected to power as president under its new name. In that violent period, late 80s to early 90s, Buddhist bhikkhus not only condoned sectarian killings and targeted assassinations, they actually demanded those and encouraged them. Therefore, junk, the Buddhism is good for democracy while Islam is bad idea as well. It takes something more than a faith. In fact, you cannot blame any faith for the travails of any democracy. In fact, it takes something more than a faith, something more than a mere faith, Islam or any other, to bedevil any democracy. At this point, I need to tell you the answer to our first question. Which is the name you see or hear most of all besides Yunus's since the change in Bangladesh? It is General Waqaruzzaman, who Hasina appointed her army chief only on 23rd June, weeks before her ouster, just about 6 weeks before her ouster. He spoke to Reuters earlier this week and told us what Yunus hasn't: a time frame for the next election and thereby the period for which this interim administration will be in charge. It is, he said, 12 to 18 months. That's a long time for an interim administration. This arrangement, remember, is unelected, is ruling without a constitution, and the man in charge does not have an executive or political title. Yunus is called chief advisor. Not in recent decades have we heard of a republic, least of all a large one with over 17 crore people being run by a chief advisor. General Pervez Musharraf tried this stunt after he overthrew Nawaz Sharif in 1999. Too bashful to call himself president like his military predecessors, he chose the title chief executive. Even that was less unconvincing than chief advisor. Of course, Musharraf didn't stay in that camouflage for long. He used the excuse of the Agra summit in July 2001 to anoint himself president. How could a mere chief executive represent Pakistan at talks with the Prime Minister of India? I'm not suggesting either that Yunus will similarly change his designation or that his general will take over. It's now become very uncomfortable for generals to take over power formally. In Pakistan and in Bangladesh, they've shown how to lead from behind. I steal that ridiculous line attributed to an Obama advisor who was justifying his abandonment of Libya after unraveling it. For now, General Zaman's are words of reassurance. He told Reuters correspondents Devjot Ghoshal and Ruma Paul, and I quote, "I will stand beside him," that's Yunus, "I will stand beside him come what may, so that he can accomplish his mission." The general promised essential reforms in the judiciary, the police, and even financial institutions so that free and fair elections could be held. Again, I'm quoting from him, and I quote, "If you ask me, then I will say that should be the time frame, that is 12 to 18 months, by which time we should enter into a democratic process," he said. And while what he says is important, the more material fact is, look who's talking. At this point, we can dial backwards to where we started. How come Indonesia, Malaysia, Turkey and Sri Lanka remain constitutional, democratic and stable despite Islam and Buddhism respectively? But Pakistan, Bangladesh and Myanmar don't. Does the penny drop? It isn't a mere faith that threatens democracy in a country. Any faith. It is the combination of a faith, any faith and military. If the military is glorified as the only institution deserving of respect, बाकी सब चोर हैं, thieves, traitors, डाकू, etc., as is often said in many countries, sometimes in our country also, मेरा नेता चोर है. But the military is honorable, always honorable. So if the military is glorified as the only institution deserving of respect, while all the others draw contempt, and religion gives it sanctity, outcomes familiar in Pakistan, Bangladesh and Myanmar follow. There is no way this change would have been possible in Dhaka if the army had not given its tacit approval by staying on the sidelines when that protest was developing. It follows that there is no way a new democratic arrangement through a constitution and elections will return until the army says yes. And religion? How does religion feature in this? Earlier this month, Bangladesh saw the rarest commemoration of a Muhammad Ali Jinnah anniversary, death anniversary, at the event held at Dhaka's National Press Club and attended by Pakistan's Deputy High Commissioner. Speakers explained why Jinnah deserved to be celebrated in Bangladesh. If his two-nation theory hadn't created Pakistan, it was said, how would Bangladesh have emerged? See the story in Dhaka Tribune. There is a screenshot on your screens. I am also sharing a link with you. All these decades, the argument was that by breaking away, the Bengalis of East Pakistan had demolished Jinnah's two-nation theory, that they had built a new nation in the name of their ethnicity, language, culture, not in the name of Islam. Because if it was a nation in the name of Islam, then so was Pakistan. Now there is this revisionist rehabilitation of Jinnah. It may or may not sustain. In the course of time, I am so sure political forces will rise in Bangladesh, particularly if democracy returns in some forms as and when it does, saying that no, Jinnah can't be the father of our nation, right? But that will take time. Larger point, however, remains that if religion is so central to your national ideology and the army is seen as the only institution capable of protecting its frontiers, the ideological frontiers, then any constitution becomes secondary to nation building or governance, just excess baggage. In Myanmar, militant bhikkhus give legitimacy to military excesses, particularly what's happening against the Rohingya. The combination of an overly exalted army and an ideological faith, religion, That adds up to a formidable threat to democracy and underlines the struggle of our three neighbors. In its much shorter history, which is 53 years since 1971, Bangladesh has seen as many constitutional arrangements and generals formally in charge as Pakistan since after the breakup of that country, since 1971, after Yahya Khan left. Pakistan has seen two generals in power, Ziaul Haq and Pervez Musharraf. Bangladesh has seen Ziaur Rahman and H.M. Ershad. All governments, in Bangladesh particularly, but also in Pakistan, all governments, military or elected, have messed with the constitution in a fundamental manner. Now, a governing arrangement informally selected on the street will bring in yet another constitution. All democracies face challenges, as did India's when Indira Gandhi mostly rewrote our constitution and subverted it during the emergency. But when her successors repealed all her toxic changes, her party actually voted alongside them. A few things that remained are by no means toxic. Today, a preamble describing India as socialist and secular would actually be seen as progressive. The reason India was able to step back from that precipice was that no religious power would sanctify this subversion, and no army would either support it or promise to restore democracy in 18 months or whatever period of time. It was for the people of India to do so. That's why, in conclusion, you might as well repeat after me. No religion by itself is an enemy of democracy. It is when you place religion at the heart of your national ideology and the army at the core of your power that you run into serious, severe problems.